Beautiful. So welcome to our practice today, which will be about cultivating tranquility in the mind and body. And I was thinking about that as I was letting people in to the call. And there's kind of a few different ways we can approach this practice. And they're all wonderful. And so I thought we could bring a little bit of clarity to what that might mean for us and kind of what our intention is around this type of practice. And, I think meditation kind of has that reputation of cultivating calm and tranquility. And that is a real plus. Obviously, it's a pleasant, pleasurable experience. It's a positive feedback loop. We're working with an experience that is pleasurable, which makes us want to have more and practice more. And also, these practices are sometimes used as like a warm-up before we engage in other, I put quotes here, deeper practices. So like a shamatha practice, a calm abiding practice, which can help us kind of, calm the rough waters a bit. Because if there's a lot going on, in the mind body, lots of phenomena, activation, intensity, it's hard to catch the subtlety. It's hard to not have the attention get really pulled. So this practice could be used as a way to settle in to other practice. So having said that, as we do practice today, if you feel like, wow, I'm already kind of feeling very settled, very open, very calm, then you could, by all means, kind of go off and explore another technique that you may have that you're familiar with. And it's great for our nervous system on a very practical level. These are beautiful, fine-tuned machines, this system. And what a gift to offer our nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is what we're going to hopefully help kind of trigger, which, reduces our heart rate, lowers our blood pressure, improves circulation and digestion, kind of eases the release of stress hormones. So there's just that on a very practical, physical level. Engaging in tranquility practice is beneficial. So, maybe we're checking all those boxes in terms of how we are settling in to meet this practice. And without further ado, let's work on it. And of course, it is a meditation. So there's also that, the just working the concentration, equanimity, sensory clarity will all be worked during this practice, like all meditation. So let's, if you feel like closing your eyes works for you in this moment, I would invite you to do that. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, you can allow them to just remain at a very soft, unfocused gaze. And I'd like to start by bringing our attention to the breath. And noticing for you in this moment, what does that mean? Like, how are you connecting with the breath? Perhaps the nostrils, the area around the ribs, the belly, perhaps more globally, kind of zoomed out to take in the entire body, the entire somatic experience of the expansion and contraction that breathing process. And I'd like to do just a few minutes of a practice called ratio breathing. If you would like to join in, please feel free. If you would like to practice in your own way, of course, you always have that choice. So for ratio breathing, as we're observing the breath, we're going to begin to silently in our mind count the length of each inhalation and count the length of each exhalation. And just for a moment, bring your attention to that space within which you can hear that counting happening, that inner auditory space. So keep counting, but I'm going to invite you to kind of say those numbers, even though it's silent in the mind space, in a very calm, relaxed tone. An even pace. But already we can try to evoke more tranquility by deliberately using that calm tone, even as we're counting. So the numbers don't matter. We're not looking for the breath to be anything other than it is, very free to flow naturally. If the breath is feeling a little shallow or irregular, yes, interesting. Just continue to track it with the counting. If the breath is feeling very deep and flowing easily, say yes without getting attached to that. And now what we're going to do is continue to count, and we're going to now begin to invite the exhalations to slow and lengthen. So all of the inhalations, we don't change those. They're completely natural. And when we exhale, we're going to try to invite the exhalations to last longer than the inhale. So if I inhale to a 3 count, when I exhale, I'm going to try to see if I can extend that to 4. And if it feels comfortable, maybe 5. Up to double. So we're looking to kind of move towards doubling the length of the inhalation, but never pushing. It should feel very comfortable, a very relaxed, easy effort. If you feel a little lightheaded, that's normal. It's not unusual. So you can just allow that sensation to be there without attending to it. Keep the focus with the breath, that gentle lengthening. And we'll do this just for 1 more minute, and I'll just give you a little more information about why we're lengthening the exhalation. It's because by doing that, we're changing the ratio of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the blood. And that kind of triggers a little domino effect through the system in the body by changing that aspect. And absolutely triggers the parasympathetic nervous system. So all those ways I mentioned, we can support all these important functions in the body. We're able to deliberately support and work with the nervous system here. So we're going to now release that lengthening, return back to your natural flow of breath, but keep counting. So we've decided our focus range for this time is the breath. We're adding that little bit of noting with the counting, noting the length. And if the mind wanders, if it goes into making commentary mode or disappears into the past or future, or goes into the body with unrelated kind of sensations, we disengage from what our attention landed on and return it back to the breath. Joyfully returning back to the breath. So without judgment, with great understanding that that is the practice, returning over and over again to our designated meditation object. And now we're going to release the counting, but keep the attention with the breath. And I'd like to now shift to Shinzen Young's feel rest technique. So what we're going to do now is kind of maintain our attention in the body space to sensations that are arising and passing. But we're going to try to find and kind of hang out with sensations in the body that are feeling very tranquil, very quiet and calm. And sometimes this is available in very small areas of the body. Sometimes it can be available throughout the entire sense of the body. And for starters, I often invite people to look to the area of the earlobes. It can be a very neutral, quiet part of the body, almost like it's not there. You might not get a sense at all. And that's kind of what we're looking to connect with, that spacious, quiet emptiness, that relative lack of sensation. So you can bring your attention to the earlobes, just hang out there, investigate what your experience is like. And if it feels quiet and restful, really soak that in. If that's working for you, you can stay connecting with that part of the body, or you can explore. So maybe the hands or even a fingertip might feel like a very neutral, quiet part of the body. And maybe it's not in the hands, maybe there's a feeling of coolness or tingling or heat, in which case it's not so neutral. So we can travel along to another part of the body. So we may be landing on areas of the body where muscles feel very relaxed and open. There's a softness, a spaciousness. And, we're connecting with very subtle experience here. And there's likely going to be other sensations, sounds, thoughts that are louder. So this does take sometimes great concentration to stay with that more subtle, quiet, kind of restful experience in the body. But it can offer us a relief from that busyness of mind, of sensations in the body that may be loud or challenging. Because we have limited real estate with our attention, if we can put all of our attention on a restful experience, that is our experience. Everything else kind of fades into the background, doesn't need to disappear, doesn't need to be different. Holding the experience of rest in the foreground, getting inside of it. And you can use a label. The mind is still a bit busy, hard to concentrate. Sometimes using a label can be helpful. So you could use whatever word works for you, relaxed or open, tranquil, rest. In Shinzen system, we would say rest. We're finding rest. And if we're not quite able to find it in the body, or not sure we're connecting with this experience, we can always find it in the exhalations. You know, when we can notice when we inhale, the diaphragm muscle engages, it's kind of an effort being made. As the rib cage lifts and spreads, the intercostal muscles kind of feel like they're stretching, a little pressure in the chest. And when we exhale, it's a complete letting go. We don't make an exhale happen. We just relax. We soften. So we could connect with each exhalation and find that softening, that release, that opening in the exhalation. If you're contacting rest, see if you can cultivate that release even more deeply, like from the core. Continue to open and soften, to really merge with that restful, neutral, spacious experience. And if it starts to feel weird, the body's feeling different, try to go with that. Don't hold on to even a sense of your body as you normally experience it. When I mentioned perhaps using a label, I should have mentioned that, you can just say that every 5 seconds, 10 seconds when you've contacted rest. And if you're like, Tanya, there's a lot going on in my body right now, it's just not available to me, that's okay. That's going to be a great opportunity to allow that to bring equanimity. And if rest is just not on the menu for you today, then you can contact body sensation and maybe merge with that as it is and be curious and friendly to learn more about it. Even if it's uncomfortable, try to soften. Try to open to whatever's happening. Check in to make sure your attention is very bright. It hasn't grown dull and sleepy, which can happen when we're connecting with this tranquil, restful experience in the body. So finding that balance can be very challenging, to remain very alert and present while still softening and merging with that experience. So, as we practice the last minute or so, I just want to remind you that this isn't about needing the entire body to feel relaxed. It's about focusing on the sensations in the body that are feeling restful. So, that could just be connecting with, like I said, a little area of the body. Sometimes there's going to be activity in the mind body that continues to chug away, and that's okay. We're just zooming in on a particular aspect of our experience. Everything else can continue.